Hey guys, and welcome to the Infinity Podcast. I'm your host Warren. Today I've got a special guest, Heather, with us, who has been with us for a little while. We're going to be chatting about her journey so far, her reasons for joining, and her thoughts and feelings around health and fitness as she is getting older, as we're all getting older. So Heather, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming and having a chat with us. Why don't you tell the viewers and the listeners who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Heather, I'm from Stockton-on-Tees, and I came to the gym because I wanted to improve my strength, because although I was active with walking and cycling, I was aware that particularly my upper body was not as I liked it.
Yeah.
And particularly my arms, I was thinking they're really waggly.
Right.
So
Okay.
I thought I need to do something, because even though I thought I should just do something, I never got around to it.
Yeah.
So I did decide to join a gym for the first time in my life.
Cool. I'm just going to leave that light off. I'll edit that out. So you decided to join the gym. You've decided that you wanted to work on your upper body strength. Like, tell me a little bit more about like what was going on, like the thoughts and the feelings around it. When were you noticing that your upper body strength just wasn't where you wanted it to be?
That's a good question. Things like gardening and just moving stuff around. I'd always thought that I was reasonably fit and strong, and then you suddenly think, oh, I'm not as strong as I used to be.
Yeah.
I had children late, so I was had a child in a backpack for a long time in my 40s, and then of course that's ages ago now, so then you suddenly realise I don't think I could do that now.
Yeah.
And you think, well, I don't want to lose it forever, so I best do something about it. In everyday life, you don't use a lot of upper body strength apart from when you need it for a particular event like gardening.
Yeah. So are we talking like moving the soil and stuff, like?
Oh, sacks of stuff, taking dumpy bags of stuff to the tip, moving stuff around.
Yeah. So were you just feeling more fatigued when you were doing that then, or is it? Just
not physically having that amount of oomph that I definitely used to have.
Yeah.
And just thinking, well, I don't know how else you'd get it back if you didn't do some muscle building.
Yeah. I think that's a key thing with this, is that as we get older, we're losing strength at a much faster rate. Like, I've talked about this a few times before, but after the age of 35, we generally lose it at about 3 to 8% per year. And then that accelerates as we get older. So for every decade after that, it just accelerates, it gets faster and faster until the age of around 60, when it seemingly drops off a shelf for pretty much everyone. Part of that is due to lifestyle as well. We'll talk a little bit more about your lifestyle and what you've done throughout your life. But I think like your lifestyle has probably contributed to you holding on to that a little bit longer. And also having children at a later age might have had an impact on that as well, because you're having to carry them about, they're grown, so that's probably going to keep you strong. Now, before joining, like, what sort of stuff were you doing health and fitness wise?
So I've always been a regular walker, but I've gone back to cycling, mainly because the dog died. And when you've got a dog, you can't cycle because you just look and feel guilty about leaving the dog at home. So the dog died, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to doing more cycling. And I ended up thinking I'm going to do Land's End to Jolly Groats. So that needed a bit more kind of concentration. So I was doing more long distance cycling, just on day trips, and thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do something a bit more serious to build up the strength and stamina to do this. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, first question, what's the dog's name?
He was Bill.
Bill.
Yeah.
Bill. Good name. Good dog name. I feel like I always need to know dog names, because then I refer to them like parents would child. It's not the dog, it's Bill.
It is, yeah.
So obviously having a dog was part of being physically active.
Yeah.
Labrador, active dog. And then you've decided to do John O'Groats to Land's End, or was it the other way?
Land's End to John O'Groats.
Land's End to John O'Groats. And is it 800?
It's 1,000.
Is it 1,000?
Yeah. Well, it depends which way you go. There's no set route.
Isn't there?
No.
Ah, I didn't know that. Oh, I suppose when I've checked it out before, I've looked as it's probably as the crow flies when you go into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But
Because
yeah,
obviously on a bike, you're going on quieter back roads. You're not
Yeah.
going to go up the motorway.
yeah. And that was that September 23?
Might have been. Can't remember now.
Well, you joined us in December 22.
Oh, in that case, I went in September 23 then.
Yeah, because I think that was part of the conversation when you
Yeah.
were chatting away, because it was Liam you'd spoke to when you decided to join, and I remember her saying about the strength, like you'd mentioned about the push-ups as well.
Oh yeah, I did want to do a push-up, yeah.
Which actually I touched on that earlier on with Libby. I was chatting away at Libby, and I was like, where's Heather at with these push-ups? Because I was trying to think, and I was like, when was the last time I'd actually coached you around this?
I can do a push-up.
Yeah.
I can do about 3 or 4, but they're still not brilliant.
Oh well, we're gonna have to prove that for the camera now. I'm gonna ask Bradley. I'm gonna ask Bradley and Libby why we haven't got a video of this, because I mean that stuff, as daft as it sounds, so special. Like whenever I've captured someone do the first push-up, it's like you cannot replicate that moment that person has that piece of euphoria. And I think Vicky, who has only been with us a few months,
Yeah.
she was in the group with Eve and Caroline, and if you've ever trained with them, they're so encouraging. And she did her first push-up there, and Caroline actually did hers right after it, and that was a crazy session. I was just like, I could pretty much just get a seat and watch these like bounce off one another, and I think that's part and parcel of it. So you were always healthy, you were always staying active. In terms of the gym, what have you done there, other than before you came to us?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
I've never ever been to a gym before. Ever.
Why not?
I never thought I wanted to train indoors. And the only indoor thing I've done is swimming. I was part of a swimming club when I was in my 40s. But that was because they got a new swimming pool where I lived, and they got a fantastic coach. And I thought, I want to be part of this. So I did do that for a while.
Have you never thought about doing that around here?
I tried, it wasn't the same.
I mean, our swimming pools are awesome. Stockton Baths.
Yeah, but I'm sorry to
I'm
say, the
joking.
coaching was not.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't the same. They had a very good. Anyway, it was just very good at the time.
I don't even. Did they have coaches? I mean, Libby learned. I don't know if you know this, but Libby learned to swim in lockdown.
Oh, did she?
She went to a place in Durham, and she got a coach doing that.
Yeah.
And she's got some really good videos of her learning to swim. Yeah, because she'd never swam before, and she enjoys paddleboarding on the River Tees.
Yeah.
And she did that, so it is interesting. I find it fascinating, not because people don't go to the gym. I mean, I find it more interesting the fact that you've never wanted to be inside versus the people who go to the gym, join, sign up, never go, but have a membership.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is absolutely crazy. Like, to me, the gym's a tool. It's a means to an end. It's a way to get things done. Like, I find it crazy the people who spend hours in there.
You see, my argument against gyms was always, what's the point of driving to a gym, doing 50 minutes in the gym, and then thinking that's you set up for the next few days? It's daft. It's like, what are you going to do with the rest of your time? So I would rather go and spend a morning, an afternoon, or a day walking or outside, and I just think that's overall better.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything for your upper body as you get older.
So
and your
yeah,
activities
that
change.
was going to be the thing that I lent into there, is like, when you talk about that, the majority of people who go to the gym who don't know what they're doing, they'll go in, they'll jump on the bike, the treadmill, the rower or something like that. They'll do 20 minutes on each of those, spend an hour doing it, then leave.
Yeah.
But they've drove to the gym, and generally some of these people will drive to the closest spot they can get to the gym to make it as convenient as possible. When realistically, the majority of people who are doing it want to lose weight. And the best way to do it, like this in my opinion, we have some beautiful places outside, like Rosebery Topping. I know that it's a bit of a chew, especially if you live in the Stockton or the Tees Valley area, to always get up there. But go on there, walk around there, Gisborough Forest. You've got Hamsterley. You've got Helmsley that's just over the way. Like you can walk. Hemlinton, has got like the lake that you can walk around, Hardwick Hall, like all of these places outdoors. And like this is where it leans into it for me. We talked a little bit while we were out running, is like having that impact on those that are closest to you. Because I mean, are your children active?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the impact that I'm talking about. Is like we talk about the NHS and we're like, oh, the wait times are ridiculous. But if each of us took ownership over that and focused on being just a little bit active, riding a bike, taking the stairs, walking to Teesside Park or wherever. I know that if you're carrying stuff, it's harder, but all of those things carry over to your health and your fitness.
Yeah.
But obviously, when it comes to getting stronger, when it comes to seeing the difference in your overall strength so that you can do day-to-day things, we probably are going to be more benefited by having a gym there to do it, provided that we're going to use it in that way. So, I mean, what have you noticed since joining them?
So I now have firm arms again. No back wings. The back wings have
and
gone.
The push-ups. And the push-ups.
Well, yeah. And I'm definitely stronger. It's very hard to know. I mean, my weight has changed, but I'm not really. I think my weight changed in the first year because I was doing so much cycling, and I went on the Zoe program, which I'm a big fan of. So I don't know which of those was more helpful. I still mostly stick to the Zoe stuff, but the cycling I don't do as much now. My weight's crept up, so I'm about halfway between where I started and at my lowest. And I'm kind of thinking, well, I wouldn't mind if that changed, but I'm a different shape.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, is important, because I hold my weight around my middle, and my middle is definitely better than it was.
Yeah. I think, so, I mean, obviously, we chatted about the Zoe thing, it was a while ago now, and Zoe's like I mean, it depends on the way that you're doing it, because you've not got the glucose monitor now, have you?
Oh no, you only have that for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so like you get the glucose monitor, it gives you an indication of like what the glucose is like in your blood. I mean, generally these are reserved for people who are diabetic to give us some insight into that. But a lot of people, I've not heard it that much. I used to listen to the podcast because I'm not an advocate of Zoe, but I'm also not against anyone taking that on board if that's what helps them. And I did have a look at your body scans. So the body scans are essentially, they give us an indication about Heather's muscle mass, how much weight she's gained or lost, the overall health of her body versus just stepping on the scales and telling us from that. And when I looked at that, you can see where you've started and where you've dropped down to. I think it was 7 kilos that you dropped initially down to the lowest point, and you can see that it's gone up ever so slightly. But having said that, the majority of people who go onto a diet, 2 years later, they've regained either almost all the weight, or in some cases they've gained more than that back. So being able to maintain that is beneficial. So you're in a better place. Obviously, a lot of people think that they get down to that level and they just maintain it at that level, but it never works out like that. I mean, I fluctuate between 85 kilos up to 91 kilos at different points throughout the year. Christmas time, I'm going to put that weight back on. We know we're going to do it. But I think it's really important to acknowledge that things are going to change. Like if you decide to cycle for the coming few months, your activity level is going to go up. If you keep your eating exactly the same, you're probably going to notice you drop weight anyway. So it just depends. It just depends on what someone's goal is, and I think that's a major factor in that. Whatever you decide to choose, whether it's Zoe, whether it is counting calories, whether it is Slim and World, I know Weight Watchers gone to the wall now, but like those injections and things like that, although they should be done under a medical professional, I will say that. I know there's a lot of people out there who can get them from, I don't know why the hairdressers do injections and stuff like that, but they always seem to jump on board with those things. But like, if whatever you decide to do, it only works provided that you are able to consistently stick to it. And that brings us back to the gym. Like, you've been consistently able to stick to that. And I mean, I remember the initial conversation when you signed up in December, and you'd said to Libby that I think it was April, you'd said from April you wanted to leave and you wanted to be outside.
Yeah, I think I went to the end of May, and then I had June, July, August before I went, because I knew I was going to do more cycling, and I thought, I can't be doing the gym indoors, and I just thought that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Well, now I don't leave in the summer.
Yeah. But I mean, you always bike to the gym. Well, I say
No,
always,
I don't,
but you often bike to the gym.
Yeah.
You very, very often bike to the gym.
I'm a fair weather biker, though. I'm, a bit of ice on the road, and I'm in the car.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised with the ice. But I mean, it is that thing where you've sort of adopted this mindset where I'm going to bike there, whereas a lot of people would see that as inconvenient. Oh, I don't have the time. And a lot of people, what are your thoughts around that? Is it just how you plan your day?
So my thoughts about biking is it's not a very long journey for me. It's 10-15 minutes, and that's a warm-up. And so particularly before runs, I think, well, if I bike to the gym, I've already done a bit of a warm-up. I'm not starting from zero.
Yeah. Does that mean you're biking to the gym after this?
Yeah.
You could just run to the gym.
And then I'd have to run home, and it's uphill.
Imagine the miles. You'll be in your, is it orange zone?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, the red's no, it's red on the apple.
Yeah, so one of the things we're talking about there is like Heather comes to our running club, and when Heather is going out for a run, she collects a lot of data. Yeah. I mean, you're like Zoe. Do they give you data now then, Zoe, or is it just something
No,
you
it's
follow?
only one. You just do it because it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
So you just do it to until you're happy that you're comfortable with what suits your body in particular.
Yeah, okay.
So the Zoe story for me is that I expected that I was fine with sugar and carbohydrates, and I was expecting that. What was I expecting? I can't remember now what I expected. What I found? Oh, I was expecting to be all right with fats. My body's crap at both.
All right, okay.
So, so if you take my triglyceride levels, I'm terrible at. So I have to be quite careful about how I manage the fats over the course of the day.
Yeah.
And that was the most important lesson for me from Zoe.
Okay, cool. So now you've learned that. Do you feel like you've got more energy? Does it help, or
No.
is it just something to give you a focus?
Well, I don't know how to explain that. I just feel that as if I do know what I'm doing with most of it, and I increase fibre, so more beans and peas, and make sure that the fat's distributed across the day.
Okay. So it seems like it's like a more of a focused attention on your nutrition.
Oh, definitely. And it was the idea it was personalised. That was what appealed to me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I mean, with the runs and stuff, then, like, were you doing them before we started the run club?
I was at the beginning, yeah.
You started at the beginning of the run club, but were you doing it on your own beforehand?
Oh, no. So I was a previous runner, and then in 2011 or 12, I got some sort of like a metatarsalitis on my feet.
Right. Okay.
And so I didn't go back to it because it took about 18 months for that to settle down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even pedal a bike. It was that uncomfortable. So I
Right.
thought, well, if I'm not going to run, if it means I can't do anything else, because the injury seemed so severe.
Yeah.
So coming back to running is about thinking that I was strong enough to go back to running and giving it a go. And I signed up for the Total Warrior.
All right. Okay.
Which had a...
Is that with all the girls?
not this year. I did
All right.
last year.
All right. Okay.
So when I signed up last year,
Yeah.
that was before Run Club.
Yeah.
And so I sort of half-heartedly did a bit of running, but I didn't really do any running before that.
Yeah. How was it? How was
The Total Warrior was fantastic.
Was it?
It was the best fun an adult is allowed to have, I think.
It's crazy, isn't it? I did it at, is it Selby? No, it's not Selby. Is it? I'm sure it's Selby. But anyway, I went and done it, and I was actually personal training Naomi at the time, and a client of mine, and then another girl that I was personal training, and we all went over and did that. And I'll always remember. So we were in front, and the two girls were behind, and he turned round and he's like waving to them, being all like, "Hey!" there's only a rock behind him and he went on his back, but they noticed it as well, and I was like, and everyone was just laughing at him. But it was like, it was the muddiest it could possibly be while being the driest day, from memory. And then I remember going through one of the mud puddles, and there was just like flies and everything in it, and I remember going home and thinking, I don't feel too good here. And I laid down and I fell asleep. I was fine after that, but I mean, as an event goes, like, I thought it was brilliant. It annoyed me the running, the constant running. Whereas if it was like a circuit and all those obstacles, I would have absolutely thrived on that.
Oh no, I liked all of it. I liked, the mud was my least favourite bit, but all the obstacles that you have to clamber over and things, you just don't do that as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, nobody lets you climb fences or.
I think I don't know if there's many of them around now, but like, is it Gisborough Forest has like little apparatus like that.
Ones, yeah.
We made out of the wood. They're quite good, and I mean the girls are going this year to, I don't know if it's Tough Mudder or Total Warrior, but they're doing one this year, and I've always wanted to do the Total Warrior. I went over and we did that Ninja Warrior when they first opened that, and that was brilliant. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was hard. Like there was loads of stuff that I couldn't even hold on there. And I mean, I've got a gymnastic background, and that was tough. And the kids were flying around it, and that's what I thought was cool to see. Is like, you're seeing all these young people just go around and do this, and you just, like, in my mind, I just hope that they keep it up as they get older. And that's where that idea comes from, is like, I always want to instill into Nora having that active lifestyle, and I think it's brilliant that you've got it, because it just shows to your kids, like, they're going to keep it up. Whereas so many people get to the later years and they tend to slow down. I mean, what are your thoughts around that? I mean, do you have friends who are all active, or?
I've got friends who are walkers, but I'm the most active of the people my age. Yeah.
Do you go out actively with them, or are the people that you go out like cycling with, are they younger, or?
I don't go out cycling with a group at all. I've never found that attractive. But I walk regularly with a range of friends, and there's plenty of friends who walk a good distance, but when it comes to hills and things like that, I've got a much more limited number.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what are your thoughts then around people getting older and staying active?
The people are just ridiculous about it. I think one of the important things about Infinity Gym is that it's for women, and that women go and they don't have to be uncomfortable or competitive. You just go and you don't have to think, oh, what am I going to do this time? You just follow the program that's on the board. Yeah. And as a woman, I think that works for me. It would not work for me to turn up at a gym and just have an array of equipment and think, oh, what should I do today? I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
think women in particular need a lot of support just to say, this is what you do. Yeah. So doing it in small groups, you follow the program, and that's what women do. And the women that I work with, they all would think I'm completely bonkers. Yeah, see,
I think whenever someone says to me, like, people tell me I'm weird because I go out to the gym. I don't know if do you ever get the experience then with people that you work with that go, I don't know how you do it?
Oh, I'm constantly. I mean, I've always said, you get to a certain age and you just have to walk up a hill and they go, "You're marvellous," and you think, just ordinary.
Yeah, because it's your norm.
But I think people lose sight, and quite young, as to what normal human beings can do. Not because they've trained, just because that's what our bodies can do. Yeah. And people don't walk very far. People don't do anything under their own steam very far.
I'm gonna segue a bit, because I'm liking this conversation. Do you know have you heard about the blue zones? So
no.
The blue zones are like, I think there's 5
do you mean
of them.
On the planet?
The Centaurians.
Like Japan and the Centaurians and the Mediterraneans. Yeah.
Have you watched it on Netflix?
I haven't.
There's a really good documentary on Netflix. I mean, I don't know how accurate some of the information is on there, but it was really interesting from the perspective. And I watched the one that was on Japan, and I forget what it's called now. But that's one of the more famous ones, because it's not it's not like they're not necessarily third world living, but some of them are like tribes that live in traditional terms.
Yeah.
And there was a she's a great grandmother, and they were playing games, and she wasn't sat in a chair spectating, watching everybody else. She was actively involved, and probably one of the best things. I mean, I spoke about this with Dawn on a podcast earlier. Is like one of the best things is the wealth of experience that they bring to that little community that they've got. And I think as we get older here, I dread to think like people are just shoved into old people's homes and left, and it's like you've given to society now we're just going to leave you to rot in that place. And part of that is some of these people genuinely are going to need that care. We're going to need that, but like more and more people are living to an older and older age, but they're losing their physical ability a lot sooner. They're in, you see these mobility scooters and things like that people are on. I mean, you only have to go abroad, and how many British people are going around on mobility scooters? Yeah. And a lot of them are overweight. And I mean, like, I'm saying that without understanding what people are going through. And obviously that's a caveat, but for the most part, like when you see it more and more, it's just like, is this our new norm? But
people self-censor, and it irritates me. In the sense of, you know, if you said to somebody of my age, I mean, I'm in my late 60s, and if you say to a group of my friends, well, let's go rowing, that would not go down well with 2/3 of the group.
Yeah.
You know, and the other third would be said, oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
But, you know, anything active, and you've got a very limited number of people who are going to do it with you.
But like part of me thinks that because of that loss of physical activity as well, that's where the mental aspect of it comes in. Like, because my grandparents, I can't even remember how old my granddad was when he passed away, but he slowly got dementia slipping in, and his only physical activity really, I mean, he was a big guy as well. He was over 6 foot. He had a big pot belly because he used to love drinking. He got diabetes. I didn't know all this stuff when I, like, I'm just going through it and I'm just like, I don't even know what diabetes is. He had to stop drinking. He had to eat better, although eating better was still lots of sugar, all of them ready meals and things like that. But his only physical activity was walking to a local social club. He used to sit on the door, let people in there. Yeah. And the way that they would pay him for that, he was retired, they'd pay him in alcohol. So he stopped having the alcohol, so he used to give out those vouchers. But then eventually he sat in a chair at home and he was literally spectating. He'd watch the telly all day. He'd make my grandma's breakfast in the morning. She would go out and spend all day going to the bingo. So she was still active at this point. Then when she come in the evening, he'd get up and he'd just make the food. But other than that, he was sleeping in the chair. Yeah. And like realistically, looking at that now, he's just festering away. And once he'd passed, same happened to her. And she did less and less. She wouldn't go out. She wouldn't go to the bingo. She was worried about lots of different things. And I think I'll have to double check the age because like it sort of slips in my mind that when you're going through things. But it's always something like, for me, it's planting a seed in my mind that I want to be as active as I can for as long as I can, in the same sense that you are. And if that means that people around you are calling you crazy for being physically active and doing that stuff, I mean, I listen to a podcast, and I don't know if you'll know the guy, but he's on longevity, and you might have an interest in it. He's called Peter Attia. He's like a longevity guy, but he has some really good podcast people on there, and he talks about all different things in relation to longevity. And he basically said, if you asked a person, would you rather live to the age of 80 and then as sharp as you like, you pass away. Like, you've been physically active up until that point, or would you rather live to 100, but those last 20 years of your life, you're basically confined to a chair, you're in a lot of pain. Like, what type of life is that going to be? He said the majority of people are going to choose to live to 80, but the problem is that isn't glaring in front of them, so they never have to make that decision. It's like always tomorrow. You'll experience people in your day-to-day life that are like, oh, I don't know how you do, I couldn't do that, and they put all of these limitations on themselves that they never take action towards it. And it's only when those things are taken away from them, like when someone has that that nearly death-defying moment, your life flashes before you.
Yeah.
Well, every single day you're letting your life flash away because you're not taking that decision to do something about it. And we're not talking about going out and cycling like John O'Groats to Land's End or anything like that. It's just simply like going and doing something that's physically active. Walk around the barrage, go to the local gym and do 3 sets of 10 on 5 different machines. Like that would have a profound impact for someone who's doing nothing right now. Yet so many people are like, I haven't got the time. But it's like, for me, it comes down to prioritizing it. And it's, don't get me wrong, I'm not disregarding what people are going through, because there's a lot of nuance involved in this. But if people are willing to prioritize watching Netflix, I genuinely wish that there was a way for me as a personal trainer to assess that the same way that I assess someone's steps, because it'd be very easy for me to say, pull out your phone, show me your screen time. Someone who shows me that they don't have time to do something, but then they've got screen time to the tune of 3 hours on Facebook, just scrolling endlessly. It just goes to show where you spend your time. But most of us don't have that level of accountability to ourselves to self-check, to be self-accountable for that stuff. Oh, I'm always tired. What time do you go to bed at night? 11 o'clock. What are you doing until that time? I'm watching Netflix. Could you go to bed a little bit early? Oh, well, I've got to watch my series. Like, that's the only time that I get to settle down and I get to watch it. What's more important here? Is it your health or that series? Like, knowing that you're going to watch that series, what is that going to do for your life? Like, how do you feel after you're going for one of these long bike rides that you do?
Well, it's just fun. I mean, I don't really think of it like that. It's just what I want to do, so off I go, and it's fine.
I love the I love the, it's just like, it's like blasé in a way. It's just like, yeah, just do it.
But I do, and that's what, it's not, I can't emphasize that. I don't go out to prove myself to anyone, including myself. I just go out because I think, oh, well, I want to cycle and I might as well go to wherever. And I'll use a bike because I can.
Awesome. I genuinely, I love that. And like part of me is like taking that on board. I'm like, you've got to look at it in that way. And I mean, just to flip back again, when I was speaking to Dawn was saying that when she went on holiday, she went into the gym. She went on a holiday on a cruise ship, and she said she went into the gym and she'd done that for the first time. Whereas before she started with us, she hadn't. She joined a gym, but then give up because, like you said, she just wouldn't do it. There's all that kit, but she didn't know how to use it. And now she's sort of adopted that mindset. And I said to her, and I've said this a few times, when I go on holiday, I make a point of not going to the gym. Like Naomi said to me last time we went on holiday, are you going to take your gym stuff? I take it. I mean, I always have shorts and stuff so I can always go in, but I never went. Because I don't have to worry about not being able to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like Naomi doesn't like riding bikes because her backside hurts. We went to Australia and we went to Rottnest, and she got upset because she her backside was hurting. Rottnest?
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
Got a bike and a snorkel kit.
Yeah. I mean, I had a freakish moment on Rottnest because we were snakes on the path. They were like had the little signs for snakes, and you know when you're riding along and you see something, and I thought it was a stick, and I was like, I brought my legs up in the air. I was like, oh my god, yeah, it wasn't a big snake, but it was just like I seen it, and then last minute I seen its head, and I was like, ugh. But yeah, I mean, things like that I absolutely love. Like I love going to Hampstead Forest on my bike. I've done that with my brother. One of the best things I did there as well was fell off, and I was like, it's so difficult to explain to people this, but you feel so alive because of that adrenaline pump and those endorphins that you did it. There was no real pain when I did it. Like obviously when I got in the shower after, that was painful, but like when I did it, I was like, it's so difficult to explain like the euphoria of doing that, because as a kid you fall off all the time. You get scuffs, you get scrapes. But
I actually think that's a really important point for women is, you know, we are raised to not make a show of yourself and to not show off. And so if you do something and fail at it, which, let's face it, training, you have to go to failure in order to build. That's against everything you're taught as a woman. If you're picking something up that is going to be too heavy for you to do, 8, 9, 10, whatever of it, that's contrary to what you. So it's kind of, you're taught. You see, you're showing off.
Yeah.
And I think that's particularly a female thing.
Yeah. I think it probably affects women more, because like that's one of the biggest things that I have noticed since starting as a personal trainer, and like one of the areas that I've started to become really aware of now. Someone starts off and they do the trial, and I could tell them to jump through a ring of fire, and they would probably, like, they'd look at me in a funny way, but they'd be like, oh well, if you're saying it, I'll do it. And I can use that to my advantage because it's brand new. That person isn't familiar with me right now, so if I just go, right, I want you to jump through that ring of fire, chances are people will do that. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but like in using that to that person's advantage, I'll flip that and I'll change it to them. I can then get them to move along way faster. And in getting that buy-in from that person to be able to do squats with a heavier weight, as they progress, that's where the confidence comes into that. And I mean, like when you're doing it and we say, oh, Heather, I want you to use the 12.5 kilo dumbbells for your floor press instead of the 10s. I don't think I can do that. It's like a new ceiling. But then when you do it with the 12.5, you might do 5 reps, then do the others with the 10s. You've done 10 reps in total. The next week you're doing 8 reps and you do 2 reps. And that's how easy it is to progress with strength. But a lot of people feel really self-conscious about giving that effort exactly for the reasons that you said, because they don't want to fail. And I think this is predominantly female, but I have experienced this myself. It's like, you don't want to push yourself because you're afraid of how someone else might see you. But yet, and I think this plays into this tattoo that I love this poem. It's like, what is your deepest fear? And it's like, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And you don't show up as the person that you want to be because you don't want to imply that you are better than anyone else.
Absolutely. I think that is very important that you're aware of that, because that's what people have. Having a coach say to you, well, you try that, gives you permission to do that one which you might make a bit of a tit of yourself with.
Yeah. And I think being in an environment like that is so amazing, because I mean, I say this from my perspective as a coach, when people say, oh my God, Heather's so strong, she's so fit, it's unbelievable, she rides to the gym and she does all this. And like, some of those ladies are at different stages, and I'm like, yeah, but that's Heather's normal.
Yeah.
Like what you see is like, Heather needs to be challenged, and I'm talking about you in third person here, but Heather needs to be challenged in a different way than you need to be challenged right now. But everybody needs to be challenged that's specific to them so that they can grow, whether that's physically, whether that is mentally. And I think that's one of the things that too many people get comfortable with. I mean, I can talk about this stuff all day long. It fascinates me. So the psychology of this fascinates me so much, because when it comes to someone saying, I can't do that weight, how do you know?
Yeah, I agree.
They have virtually never done it. When someone says to me, oh, I can't lose weight no matter what I do, it's like, show me what you're doing. And realistically, that person hasn't really thought about, or hasn't stuck to something for a specific amount of time in order to see what is working or what isn't working. It's just that person's priorities are all over the place. Their life is all over the place. It's not being right for whatever reason, and they feel like they can't do it. But then they play that tune over in the mind again and again, and they stay stuck in that same position. And it's crazy to imagine. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's one of the hardest things to get people to overcome, because they gradually revert back to default. Like whenever someone loses weight, I mean, I'm sure you've got friends, colleagues who've done this, lose weight, go back to the way of living, weight goes back on. And they're like, oh, I'm back at square one.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you see that?
Yeah.
It's like, happens all of the time, but it's like, it's not adopting that new lifestyle. And I think what you mentioned with the bike is like, I'm not competing with myself. I'm not doing it to show off to anyone else. No. It's just who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just what I do. And I think that's become a big part of what people do when they go to the gym, because you go to the gym and you do a bit, and you feel better as a result, or you've ticked the box in some respects some days, and then you go about the rest of your day.
Yeah.
You feel better about it.
But one of the things I really like about Infinity is it has such a wide range of ability. And you know, people walk in and you can see that they haven't done anything for a long time, and they stick with it.
Yeah.
And then they're doing all sorts.
Yeah.
And you just think, wow, that's impressive. And I'm sure that wouldn't happen if you didn't have constantly coach sessions. If you just had a gym where people walked in and did what they liked, they wouldn't do very much.
Yeah, I think it's something like, I think one of the only things that challenges me mentally, that keeps me so focused with doing this, is like having that mindset that if I can impact that person's life, that person can then impact their loved ones' lives.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's ambitious. It's probably not going to happen to the majority of people, because the majority of people, although they say they pay lip service and they say they want to have those things, to turn up, to get fitter, to get stronger, it's essentially lip service. They're not willing to do that thing. They're not willing to adopt the lifestyle, or as like I've started to understand it as now, they're not willing to adopt the identity of the person that they want to become, fitter and healthier.
I think that's a nice idea, yeah.
So, I mean, that comes from Atomic Habits, the book by James Clear. And he says, like, in order to have the thing, you don't focus on the outcome that you want to achieve. You focus on dialing in the things that allow you to have the identity that you want to have. So you don't open a book to read that book. You start reading because you want to become a reader. You don't go out and run because you want to run a marathon. You start running because you want to identify as being a runner. You ride your bike because you enjoy it, because you want to identify as being someone who cycles and focuses on the health. You do gardening not because you want to have an amazing garden, because it never stops. Like, it's is it a zero sum game? It's like an infinite thing. Like you're
never
always
win.
Yeah, you're always going to be doing
finished.
it. And I mean, I love the idea. Like, you see the amazing gardens, and I'm like, I love the idea of that. But realistically, like, my mindset won't allow me to dedicate that much time to doing that, because I have too many other things going on in my head, and I would only neglect it. So in doing so, I'm okay, I'm at peace with that. But that's what a lot of people don't have. I want to have the health and fitness, but I also want to get mortal drunk on a weekend and go out with friends, have a laugh, and pretend that everything is okay in my life, when really that's just a way for me to cover up everything else that's going on. Yeah, I think it's just like clarity for everyone. It's like clear on where you want to be.
Yeah.
So we've gone over loads of stuff there. I feel like a lot of that was quite interesting, because I feel like it's gone in different directions, especially with that blue zones. I've not talked about that for a while. So what are your current thoughts and feelings about the future, and where you want to progress with, I suppose, not just with your health and fitness, just with life in general?
So next year I'm going to Africa.
Okay.
And that's booked. So I'm pleased about that. But the other thing I want to do is more long distance walking.
Okay.
And I've got these long distance footpaths, but I've been talking about this now for the last 12 months, and I haven't actually started.
Okay.
I mean, I do walks with friends, but I haven't actually done any multi-day walks for the last, I don't know, couple of years. So I need to crack on with getting on with doing more long distance walking, because no matter how fit you are, walking long distances really takes it out of your feet.
I think we need to do the 3 Peaks as a gym.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I genuinely, I've heard of people doing it. I mean,
You are talking Pen-y-ghent, Ingleborough. You're not talking about.
Where is Scarfell Pike in there?
Well, so there's 2 different 3 peaks. There's Snowdon, Scarfell, and Ben Nevis.
They're the harder ones.
There's Pen-y-ghent, Ingleborough, and the other one that's in Derbyshire. They're the ones that you do in 24 hours. You're supposed to do them all.
Right. Okay.
But the other one is a bit ambitious in terms of time.
Yeah. So the other one, if it was over a couple of days, like I would quite like the idea of doing like a retreat style thing, more outdoorsy.
Yeah.
Like in the gym. I mean, I've talked about it extensively. I've never actually, this is my accountability for this, is like I've never actually sat down and thought about how it would look or who might want to go on there. Because I think like for me personally, like I've grown to the point now where I've spent 5-6 days like in the gym doing 2-3 hours, multiple workouts throughout the day. It doesn't fascinate me in the same way now. It's like, does it allow me to do what I want to do with my day? If it does, then I'm ticking a box, the same as anyone else. Like if I want to increase muscle, if I want to increase my strength, I know what to do with that stuff. Now I want to be able to enjoy that, and it goes back to that cycling incident where I was like, I fell off my bike and I was like, I've never felt more alive than when I did that. And it's like crazy to imagine lockdown, and it's part of this, like people might say midlife crisis, but in like lockdown, I decided to do the Great North Swim. The first time it happened, they cancelled it the following year, and then the second time, I think it was 2022, just before you started, I went and done it, but I only had 4 weeks worth of swimming. Prior to that, I hadn't swam in open water since I was 16. And I didn't actually swim the distance, so I decided instead of doing 1 mile, I would do 10k or 5k. No, it was 5k. Sorry, it was three and a bit mile. So it was like 2 loops of the circuit, and it was on Windermere. And when I rocked up, I was late, and the guys were like, "Oh, are you confident swimming? Because you're like 10 minutes late." I was like, I couldn't get parked. You had no parking spaces. No one was directing. I was meant to park in like where there was a bus stop. There was no bus. And they were like, "Oh, you're a strong swimmer." And I was like, yeah. And they were like, "Right, you have to catch everyone up." And I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I thought once I'm in. And I started swimming anyway. And I did catch up the back markers on it, but I was like, I found it really challenging, and I was just like, oh my God. And I've always been confident and competent in water. It's never worried me, like the thoughts of what could happen or anything like that. And I just thought, do you know what, I've done this. And I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to swim the channel.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that I would love to be able to do. But one thing I would love to do is swim it, and then the next day swim it back. And I don't know whether that's realistic in terms, but I'm saying this as part of accountability.
Okay, right. Well, I'll hold you to that one, Warren. Swimming the channel.
Yeah, so I mean, long distance walking. What about in the gym? Now you've achieved your push up, what do you want to?
That's very difficult. Do you know? I'm really sorry to say that I don't actually have any particular things that I think, oh, I must do that. I'm not really focused on what's possible, so who knows?
We just have to challenge her and see.
Yeah.
10 push-ups?
Possibly.
Oh, you're so
I'm
conservative.
more all over than that, really. I just don't really have a sense of, I mean, my father was a very keen man, had been very fit, and when he was my age, he used to do a push-up for every year of his life. And when he got to 70, he decided that he wouldn't do any more, so he just continued just to do 70 every night.
Yeah.
And the idea of doing 70 push-ups is ridiculous in my book. But he would just knock them out like there was nothing there tomorrow.
Did you do that all in one go as well?
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But you know, he was just somebody who was always very strong and fit.
Yeah.
And he had that, you know, whereas children we were always challenged by.
Did he go to the gym?
Did he heck?
What was it? What did he do for a living?
He's an electrical engineer.
Electrical engineer?
With ICR, yeah.
Ah, right.
No, it wasn't at all anything to do with fitness. Just when he was in the army, he used to box when he was I'm talking national service, I'm not talking a long-serving thing.
Yeah.
But he was doing that before that, and he's just always kept up being fit was important.
Yeah.
And being active.
And do you think that had a big influence on?
Oh, both my parents were cyclists and things into kind of middle age, and they were always keen on being active, but not competitive. You know, they didn't do competitions with anybody. They just did stuff.
Yeah. I genuinely do think that's amazing, because like the amount of times I talk to people now, it's like never that sort of thing. It's like if you talk, I mean, we don't dive too much into people's backstories and families, but I mean, my family is not the most active. Like, I didn't come from an active background, but I think I think a lot of it from my side was competition based. Like I went to school, like I was in with a group of friends who were all competitive. I was never the best at anything. But one of the things that I adopted with that was just a determination to continuously get better. And I think I don't know if this is Japanese or a Chinese saying, but it's kanni, constant and never-ending improvement. And it's like they have that way of viewing it. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it is in Chinese. I'm trying to think of the term now, but anyway, that focus and that care and attention to do that is like, rather than focusing on getting to that milestone. And I think from a lot of people's standpoint, this is the major problem when people do, like, I mean, we do a 28-day challenge, but when people do a 30-day challenge doing squats every single day, they burn themselves out. They've gone from doing nothing to doing ridiculous amounts of volume, 50 squats a day for 30 days. My knees hurt. Yeah, no shit. Like, it's not a bit of wonder. Oh, you've gone from never cycling before to deciding to cycle John O'Groats to Landry.
Yeah.
Oh, my legs are falling off. Oh shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Oh, you've got this vision that you want to become a walker. Oh, well, I'm going to do the 3 peaks. I'm pretty sure mountain rescue is coming out for you in the first 3 hours. Like, you've not conditioned yourself to be able to do that, but people want to run before they can actually walk.
I agree. Yeah. And so just, make sure that every time you leave the house, you leave it on foot or under your own steam in some way. It would be my view if you're going to go for long walks, and start walking.
I've got a very unique question for you.
Oh, go on.
Since you do all the political stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you were Prime Minister for a day,
what
would you instill in the nation related to health and fitness?
Gosh. Just one day. I think I'd become a bit of an Ayatollah, actually, if I was the Prime Minister. The thing that I'm most keen on are what they call low traffic zones. So I would instill in that if you are in your house, in your town, you should be making most of your everyday journeys on foot.
I love that. I feel bad now because I drive 3 miles to the gym. But having said that, I've always wanted one of them little chariots for the back of a bike. If I got one of them, I would, hands down, I would take the dogs to work in that, because walking them to work would be a nightmare with both of them. But yeah, I love that. I think that's such a good idea. But I think always the problem with stuff like that is that you get, in my head, I hear those people are like, oh, but this and but that. And it's always a caveat that relates to them specifically. But yeah, 100%. I think I totally agree with that. Like, is it Amsterdam and places like that? We went to Sweden and they were all going around on electric scooters. They had like cordoned off areas for that. The main road, there was trams, and I think they had the cars on the tram roads and stuff. But a lot of it was like really nice in that sense. And one of the best things I'd ever seen happen in a city was this lady was walking up an alley and there was like a cigarette packet on the floor. It wasn't hers. Just walked over, picked it up, walked out of her way, went to put it in the bin. And I was like, the place was immaculate as well. And I was like, I love that. Well,
I have a view that if everybody walked in their own locality, and I mean sort of, 15-minute walking distance from their own houses, if every journey that they did then was on foot, it would transform neighbourhoods, because everybody would know who their neighbours were. Everybody would use their local shop. You would all of a sudden have all these little pockets of people who know each other and were able to sort of keep an eye out for each other and just be a bit more community minded.
Tell me when you're running. I'm voting. Listen, Heather, we'll leave it there. I really appreciate you coming down, taking the time to share those insights. Welcome. I think it's super helpful, particularly like through what you've gone through, because it's totally different to everybody else. You've always been into health and fitness, whereas a lot of people who come to us haven't, and they need that motivation.
But only on an everyday basis. That's my emphasis, that I'm not a competitive fitness person.
Yes, not a competitive fitness person. Just a recreationally active person on a regular basis. But yeah, thank you for coming down. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate you sitting down with us and listening to Heather's journey and some of our rants. If you are interested in finding out more about what we do here at Infinity, if you're a lady who is 40 plus who lives in the Teesside area, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, on Facebook, drop us an email, and we can chat to you about what we do and how we can help you. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.